Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So I am here with the differences between the water signs today. Yeah, water signs, it is your go. After all, we are in the midst of Cancer season. So with that in mind, who are the water signs? Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So Cancer kicks it off with cardinal water, meaning that this is about initiating, leading with emotion. And you often find with many Cancerians that their emotions are very raw. It's just fresh out the gate emotions. They go with their tides, they go with those ebbs and flows. And those moods, I guess, are really dependent on many factors, especially when it comes to how they interact with their environment. So, the different types of energies and moods that they pick up from other people. The Cancerian type of person, then that can impact them emotionally, where their own moods can then fluctuate depending on what's going on around them. Because the thing is that Cancer energy, well, all water energy is receptive. So with that, the Cancerian type of person will be receptive towards the environment and towards other people's moods within the environment, and they'll be able to pick up on the different moods quite easily. And then also, because Cancer is highly reflective as well, they can reflect on people's words, on what they say, what they do, how they feel, and from that reflection, then I suppose that can in turn impact the Cancerian as well. So yeah, they can just be very receptive, reflective, and sensitive as well. Water signs are certainly sensitive as well. So with Cancer types, from this cardinal water energy, you just find that they will be those types of people who can be around others, and if others are feeling good, they're feeling well, then the Cancer person feels good, feels well. But then if those people are gloomy and all is just it's the end of the world, it's hurtful, it's painful, then the Cancer person then could feel that too. So naturally that is empathy. So there's that quality to Cancer that's highly empathetic, and you find that with Cancer types that they have a high degree of empathy. Now, at the same time, yes, these things can be their power and they can help other people, or they can sort of listen to other people and be able to help them navigate through their own emotional tides in that way. So I'll just give an example, right? Let's say that a Cancer person has a child and they have a little girl, and the little girl is getting really emotional and distraught about something that's going on. Maybe the little girl fell over, or maybe the little girl had her toy taken away from her by her brother. The Cancer parent then can go to that little girl and help that little girl by just, validating their emotions and saying, there, it's okay, like, it's fine, we'll make sure that you get the toy after. Or they can go to the brother and get the toy, retrieve it back. Or they can say that, oh, we'll give you this little lollipop if they fall over or whatnot, So just different little things that the Cancer can do to help that person feel better. Because I find that with Cancer types, that as soon as you check out, as soon as you distance yourself, as soon as something isn't like right, or something feels slightly off, that Cancer person will say, are you okay? You alright? You okay? They just have these antennas, they just know. They just know. And personally, I think that this is a great quality, but at the same time, it's also annoying because if you want to hide your emotions around a Cancer, then that's going to be difficult to do. But you know what? At the same time, I think that the Cancer can also struggle with it as well. So whilst, yes, they may be good at being able to detect when something's off, also they may feel like there's something not quite right, but they can't put their finger on it. But then because they can be quite passive in how they deal with things, because they don't like conflict, they just sort of retreat back in rather than sort of probing at that person to say, like, come on, like, tell me, what is wrong? What's wrong? Come on. So they can get a little bit, I'd say that they can be good at being able to detect whenever something's going on, but it's just that when they can't quite make sense of it logically or have a reason or evidence with it, then that can be a bit annoying for them, and that can even make their feelings or their energy levels feel a bit awkward and a bit misconstrued. And yeah, so that can lead into the retreating thing. So yeah, they can be quite in sync with other people's moods and how other people's moods then affect their moods. But then also, without even other people being in the picture, just how the Cancer feels overall can fluctuate, of course, because what I find with Cancer types that I know, is that some of them, say for example, they have a sore tooth. They will say, oh, my tooth is sore. And then a while later, they'll still say, oh, my tooth is sore. Or maybe they're tired. Oh, I'm tired. I'm hungry. Little things to do with their moods or to do what's going on with them that's impacting them. Because if you have a sore tooth, that's annoying, right? And it's going to impact you emotionally, because it's going to throw you off a little bit from enjoying and just being able to relax at home or feel comfortable. That's another thing as well. Cancerians want to feel comfortable. They want to feel secure. So to have a certain ache or a pain or something like that, it's not going to make them feel very secure. And so it's almost like they just bring it up over and over. And I think there is a part of them that wants that empathy, or wants sympathy rather. Sympathy is the better word. They want sympathy from the other person that they're maybe saying this to. So there's that. But then I also think it's just because they're saying it maybe not necessarily to get sympathy, but it's just to engage. It's just to let that person know that that's what's going on with them. And so maybe if the Cancer person is a bit off, then maybe the other person will understand why the Cancer person is off. Because if you think of how Cancer asks everybody else, like, are you okay? How are you doing? Then of course the Cancerian also wants to make it clear to other people in times whenever maybe there's something going on with them, to let that other person know then what's up, to be a bit clear in that regard. So yeah, I'm going to share a quick experience with this. So my mom, I've said this before, my mom is a Cancer, born on the 12th of July, and she has arthritis, really bad arthritis. She's had it for years, and she will just always say about, she's sore, she's sore, she's sore. And that's something that I suppose, because this is the thing, right? this is the thing that I want to mention, okay? Which I think is kind of interesting, but maybe it can get you thinking a little bit, even if you're not a Cancer, whatever you're watching this. So if you do have a certain pain and you say, oh, I'm sore, okay, you are acknowledging that you're sore. You feel that you're sore, and then from saying it out loud, you're, I suppose, in a way, becoming more so aware of that pain or ache that you have. It's just the ice cream van. The ice cream van is going. So, what I kind of see this as is well, whenever a person says that, and then they say it again, it's a repetition, right? The moon, repetition, cycles. You're constantly just saying this, I'm sore. So you're getting into this pattern, this repetition of I'm sore. So what do you want to continue to be? Sore. You may, because from that repetition, it's almost like a person just gets used to being that way, that they're that person. Oh, I'm that person who just always has aches. Just I'm that person. Now, of course, I'm not saying that it doesn't take away from the validity of it, that yes, that person is indeed in pain, but it's also a question of, well, how can a person maybe go from saying that, repeating that, to something different, to repeat something else, you know, so to divert the energy to something that can maybe make that person feel more good, a bit more empowered a little bit. And it gets quite complicated, because at the end of the day, with my mom's example here, she does have arthritis and she's always in pain, but it's also, there's also a part of me that wishes that maybe she could basically change that dialogue to doing something that she is capable of doing, that actually makes her feel at ease and at peace, you know? So I hope that made sense. I'm really not trying to say or take away from a person's experience and what they're going through. So yeah, I find with Cancers, they wanna be able to just feel okay, just feel like things are secure, but not just emotionally secure, but also financially secure, physically secure. Security is just very important to a Cancer, and so you find with Cancer types that they are very strategic in how they approach things. They don't just jump right in to certain experiences like an Aries would. They would want to feel it out a bit more and sort of see for themselves how they feel, how the whole environment feels, how other people are going to react. And that's another thing, is they're highly reactive. So Cancer types can react quite quickly emotionally to what is going on outside of them. And so going back to their emotions just being raw, just fresh out the gate, yeah, it's just that instant current, it's that instant flow that comes with this energy. And I think that flow it's something that we can all learn from. So to validate how we feel, not necessarily to act on how we feel or to be in that reactive state, but to just at least feel it and acknowledge it and validate it, and then to let it sort of die down and to maybe communicate it or try to make sense of it or try to do something with that energy or figure out, well, how can I make this better for myself moving forward? Because another thing that I want to mention before I kind of move on, because I've been talking about Cancer for a while, is, well, when it comes to our emotional reactions to things, whilst yes, you may have an emotional reaction to something, maybe let's say for example you're 15 years old and there's a certain thing in your house that scares you. It scares you. For 3 years straight, it scares you. But then something just happens, something clicks, and that thing no longer scares you. And you may wonder, well, why? And it could be because within that process of those 3 years, there were other things you did that maybe counteracted with that fear or helped with that fear in a way. But maybe you just weren't aware of that. Now, it could also be that you consciously decide to, actually, no, I don't want to be afraid of this anymore. I want to do something about this. I want to get the help that I need. I want to talk to somebody about this, and I want to overcome this fear. So there's also that. But so whether you're aware of it or not, that thing that maybe scared you or that person at the age of 15, 3 years later, it may not scare you or that person later on. So with that in mind, certain emotional reactions that we get from certain things that happen within our environment, yes, those things may make us feel that way, but it's also trying to see that it's not going to be that way forever, and that we can move through those currents. This is cardinal water. This is letting the emotions flow, but also getting into new cycles as well, because this is also the moon here. So moon ruling Cancer. Moon is about cycles. It's that repetition. And so by acknowledging our emotional cycles, our emotional patterns, those things that trigger us emotionally, how those things come up to the surface, being aware of them, then catching them, and then trying to see, well, how can I change this? How can I not repeat this same cycle over and over again? And you can find with Cancer types that they can get into those types of loops, those types of cycles. And this is interesting because I want to actually share this story because it's a good example of what I'm saying. So I have a Cancer friend, and she is now in a relationship with a Capricorn. And they met a few years ago, and before they met, I remember she was in a cycle. She was in this certain cycle of dating guys who there was something about these men that she was dating that she just could not properly connect with. And so I think she got herself into this certain cycle with these interactions, these types of men that she was attracting. But then one evening we went out together a few years ago, and it was funny. I remember we were talking about just guys, talking about dating and things. And I remember she was telling me about the last guy that she was with, and it was just a complete disaster. I'm not going to say the details, okay, of exactly what happened. But I remember I turned to her and I said, you know what, Cancer friend? Have you ever thought of maybe just saying to yourself, I already have a boyfriend. I know you don't have a boyfriend, but just pretend you do. Just pretend you do. Because you're not going to be in that place of want. Because when you're in that place of want, you're in that place of lack as well. So rather than trying to sort of yearn for a partner to come in, but to just let that go. That's another thing. Cancer, the crab, the claws, pinchers, they can grab on. Attachment, that's what it can teach us. The attachment that we have to certain things. But then to let go. Because when you let go, the current goes again. Cardinal water flows. So when you grab on, there's resistance. Stops that current. When you let go of it, you let go of all expectation. And so by doing so, it flows again. So with my friend, she she then just sort of moved forward with this attitude. So she wasn't looking, she wasn't trying to look for that person anymore. And what happened? Out of an unconscious state, she met her now boyfriend, who she's had a baby with. And she is so happy with him. Yeah. So that is an explanation of these cycles, but then also throwing in there that current, so to let go, because you find that whenever you let go of all expectation, the things that are supposed to come to you will come to you. It's just trusting that, having the trust in that, because whenever I personally look at some Cancerians in my life, I see how they can be in that state of grabbing, that clause, attachment. And from that, I think can block certain things for them. So yeah, I don't want to get too far into that, because seriously, I could be talking here for a very, very long time. So with that in mind, let's move on to Scorpio. So Scorpio is fixed water. So fixed being sustaining. It's quite a determined energy. It brings that cardinal energy to completion. It stabilizes the energy. So this is stabilizing emotions. This is sustaining the emotions, keeping it kind of locked in. Now, it gets very, very complex with Scorpio. Scorpio is one of those signs that is highly misunderstood, and I feel like I'm probably gonna jack this up myself. But yeah, the reason for why I think they're highly misunderstood is I think it's because of how they are so secretive, but yet it's also their secrecy that can be their strength. So I'm going to give an example. Let's say, for example, that you enter into a new work situation and you're not really quite sure of who is who and what is what and who to trust and who to talk to. Who are those types of people? Who will you get on with, and who's just gonna stab you in the back, right? Who's gonna go behind your back and be really shady or betray you in that way? Because that's the thing. No human is perfect. And I also think that Scorpio represents that quite, those deeper layers of us, because there's the Mars aspect there as well. So the animal side of it, but also showing us how our animal nature can be, can be murderous and devious and vindictive and jealous and suspicious and quite cunning, all those types of things. So when you enter into a certain situation or a work scenario, you're not really sure of, like I said, who's who, what to expect. So by sustaining your emotions, by keeping reserved, about your emotions, and more secretive, not disclosing everything about yourself, that can be quite helpful. Because can you imagine if you went into a new situation and you were just like, it's quite an Aries thing here, okay? Aries types can be like this. Yeah. And it can be just Leo types as well, a little bit maybe too. Okay, fire signs. Yeah. So yeah, that energy is just more outward. It's more opinionated, it's more expressive, it's more, hey, this is what I think, and this is my opinion, and hey, this is what I did the other week, and oh yeah, I went here, I did this, I did that. But you don't really think about who's hearing, what am I saying, how can those things be used against me later, am I saying too much too soon? Scorpio, it kind of reserves a lot of that energy, okay, holds back and is more secretive because it's more strategized. It's more smart about, well, you know what, I'm not gonna disclose or openly share all of this information about myself, because who's that? I don't know you. I don't know you. I've only just met you. I've known you for 10 minutes. I've known you for a week. So this, the thing, is that it takes a long time to really get to know a Scorpio, because their trust is something that is very, very important to them. Very important. But trust isn't something that they just give willy-nilly. That trust is to be gained. It's almost like the Scorpio has to be able to suss you out and sort of know that things are safe in that way before they let out what is really going on. And I find that with Scorpio types that one of the reasons for why they get to this point, because the thing is that they can, this, what I'm talking about, it can get to the point of paranoia, okay? Where it just becomes just extremely guarded, like to that extreme, okay? And so going back to the point of one of the things might be that their trust was almost maybe they were betrayed a bit whenever they were younger, or maybe what they shared emotionally or just about themselves in general was used against them. And that's a really annoying thing, because I know for myself, and I've had this done to me before, and I'm sure you guys watching this, you can relate. When you share something with someone and this is something that is so special to you and it's so important to you, it means a lot, you share that. It's an intimate piece of information, or if it's a private, rather, it's really private to you. But then for that person that you shared that with to then go and spread rumors about you, or go and tell on you, or use it against you at a later stage whenever you're having an argument with that person. Those things can be brought up to the surface then from others. Whenever you trusted that person so much, you really thought that they were going to keep it safe, keep it secretive, but they didn't. And so that can lead to these feelings of, well, who's worthy and who's worth my time, and why should I bother expressing how I feel whenever how I feel anyway is not even appreciated, it's not even acknowledged and properly cherished. It's just thrown around and it's used against me as a weapon to myself. And yeah, you find that with Scorpio types, that they don't want to share a lot of things because they're trying to play it safe for themselves. Now, there's a lot of things that I could say about this, and there's a lot of opinions that I could say about this, and things to maybe get you thinking. But I do acknowledge that must be pretty hard to go through that. And again, going back to cycles and everything else, well, you find with Scorpio moons especially that they can get into these cycles with people. They can associate with a certain group of people, for example, and then something happens and they're completely betrayed by them, they're let down, and then they go to another group of people and then something happens and they're let down, and it's like, who is honest, who is real? This is infuriating. And so they can just bottle a lot of what's going on up. Now, the thing is that when it comes to this sustaining emotional energy, it can also be their power, because they can place that high focused, concentrated energy into, for example, a job, into a career, into a relationship, into a child, into a project, into a certain sport. So something that they want to master. Scorpios can be so good at sticking at something to master it. You find that many Scorpios are amazing musicians, really great musicians. I think that to learn an instrument takes a lot of dedication. It takes a certain someone to do that. I tried to learn how to play the guitar whenever I was a kid, and I just didn't stick at it at all. Instruments for me personally I find quite challenging, but still with Scorpio types, they can really gravitate towards music, and especially when it comes to certain music that just gets them. You know, just those bands, those artists that really get the Scorpio and understands their emotional complexes. So even if it is that the Scorpio doesn't open up about how they're really feeling with other people, but that music is something that they resonate so much with in a really deep way. And so they then really go to town on that music, or they listen to it with such dedication, and it's like that band is their band, and they're going to go to the concerts, they're going to go to the festivals, they're going to wear the merchandise, they're going to get the tattoos of that band, you know. This reminds me of my Scorpio brother. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I can't remember the name of the DJ, but my Scorpio brother, he's really into just different DJs and different dance music. There was this certain album cover of this little alien dude who was blue or pink, I can't remember the color, and he was sitting in these clouds on the CD cover. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, but he went and he got a tattoo on his stomach of this really tacky, just it was just so tacky. And he was so for it, you know. But that's just my opinion, okay? I mean, I have tattoos that I'm not exactly thinking to myself now, oh yeah, that was a great tattoo. Yeah, I have one on my side which is of Paramore, and I just look at it and I think, oh, horrendous. But yeah, the point is that Scorpios, they can just be really, really passionate people, and if they find something or they resonate with something that ignites that passion, they'll just go for it and live by it. Now, another thing that I want to talk about with Scorpio is the psychological side to this sign, because, okay, this is where it gets really interesting. When it comes to our emotions, our mind, our body, of course all of these things are interconnected. So for example, you may have a certain thought, then the thought impacts you emotionally, and then next thing you know, you're doing something with your physical body to act on that thought. So I want to try to explain this with an example so that it makes sense. Let's say, for example, that there's a person who goes into a job and they are bullied by the staff. they may be bullied by the staff, and then they decide just to quit. They quit the job because it was just too much. It was too much hurt, too much pain. People were just not nice at all. So instead of that person saying or talking about, oh, that hurt me, that sucked, why did that happen? Instead, they might then refuse to admit that to themselves, and then do things that are highly self-destructive, highly detrimental to their health. They can just, they can do things that is just not good for them. They may start drinking loads of alcohol. They may just stay in the room and play video games all day and never come out. They may actually sink into a state of depression. And what I'm saying here is very Scorpio. So self-destruction is something that can come with Scorpio energy. That whole scorpion thing of the scorpion rather killing itself than having another person kill the scorpion, which I don't know if that's necessarily been proven, because I've seen other information to suggest otherwise, but I digress. That energy of self-destruction Scorpios can, they can do things to themselves without necessarily an awareness that it is detrimental to them. And so they can live in that state of denial, where instead of coming out of that really hard time, because it's hard to be in that sort of darker place, or that place where it feels like, oh my gosh, why did that happen? You may not know how to help yourself. You may not know what to do, what direction to turn, who to talk to, how to express it. And especially if you're that type of Scorpio who has, again, just had things thrown back at you. So to be in that space and to try to come out of that space, it's so hard. It can be such a challenge. And going back to the whole depression thing, well, depression, of course, it's that feeling of just, you literally don't know where to turn, what to do, in a black hole. So the point I'm trying to convey here is that there's this tendency with Scorpio energy that can bottle things up, but then by bottling things up, they can then do things that aren't necessarily good for them, but then they're just trying to almost numb themselves, you become numb. So I guess you could say, when it comes to Scorpio energy, whilst yes, their sustaining of their emotions can be used in a very powerful way, they can also be used in a way that can be detrimental to them as well. But still, going back to the powerful way, keeping in mind that yes, there's that almost lower octave of Scorpio, but then there's also the phoenix, so rising up from the ashes. So we'll further this example. That person who maybe got bullied, and then they were in a lot of pain from it, but rather than admitting that they're in pain and they're hurt about it, they then start doing things that are self-destructive towards their health. Maybe they have so many health implications because of it, and just things start to happen and they just spiral down, right? They're just spiraling down and they don't even realize it, and they're just in denial because they don't know any other way. Okay? That person, then something happens. Something just goes, and it's like, you know what? I don't need to do this anymore. What am I doing? I can actually change this. So they can then rise up. They may feel like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I'm done. Because the thing is that Scorpio energy, it's fixed, remember. So it can persist and persist and persist, and they can be really stubborn, especially if other people try to come at the Scorpio and say, Scorpio, what are you doing to yourself? What are you doing? Scorpio is still like, no, I am stubborn, I'm fixed, I'm not listening to you, I'm doing my thing, this is my life, go away. So they just shut people out, just bye-bye. But then whenever that moment comes for them, if it ever does, because another thing is that someone may just say something to the Scorpio unknowingly and plant a little seed. It's better to do that with Scorpios, I think, rather than being forceful of like, come on, Scorpio, but just plant a little seed there. And then they'll not really think about it, and then suddenly they have an idea, and then they don't even know that the seed was planted. And then they can get help, or they can do something different. So the point is that Scorpio energy can feel like it's spiraling down into that tunnel of just darkness where there's no escape. But yet there can always be that little spark. There can always be that faith or hope, something that can come that can help them renew themselves and come out of that way of being. And that is that representation of the phoenix rising from the ashes and renewal through that. Alright, so the final water sign that we're going to talk about then is Pisces. Pisces. Now this is mutable water. So meaning changeable, flexible, adaptable water, emotion. So you find that with Pisces types, they may get very intertwined within the emotional currents of the atmosphere of other people, but yet it can become almost all-consuming, where they can shift and mold into different ways to sort of suit other people emotionally and what they're going through. Again, highly empathetic. This can be used as their power. This can be used as a way to just understand other people and even encourage other people to just bring out their own emotional depths and to be okay with sharing all those intimate pieces of information with the Pisces. They can be very alluring in that way. Oh, they can swoon. The Pisces types, they can swoon you in just with how charming they are and how they just look at you with their dreamy eyes, and they pull you in with acceptance. It's like this attitude of no matter what it is you've been through, no matter what it is that you have to say, I'm here to listen, I'm here to be that person that you can open up with anytime. So you find that they can be so supportive in that way and really caring. And if you're friends with a Pisces, they may be really good at seeing through your BS. They may be really good at seeing through things that you're not being honest about. They may kind of sense or pick up on, oh, well, I know that this person is saying that they're fine. You know, all the water signs can be very good at this, but it's the Pisces that many people feel maybe, well, to be fair, Cancers can be like this too, but maybe they feel like I can literally just share anything with Pisces and they'll keep it forever, and they can be quite trusting, you know, they can have that aura about them that, oh, you can trust me, you can tell me anything. And then they can also be very complimentary as well towards others and highly sympathetic and really caring and sensitive towards other people's needs and wants and their desires and dreams, and they can even encourage other people when it comes to their dreams and give them a lot of faith in that way. And yeah, it can make the Pisces highly likable. However, with that being said, right, if a Pisces is in a certain atmosphere and they can just pick up on what is going on around them very, very easily, if there's a certain person within that arena or environment that the Pisces thinks, oh flip, well, there's something quite off, there's something not right with that one, they may then distance themselves or be quite closed and silent with them. So because they can be quite in tune with what's going on, if what's going on doesn't sit right with them, then they maybe don't want to associate with it. They can almost pick up on that collective energy that's going on from the environment, and if it doesn't sit well with them, it can impact them really easily. So you find that with Pisces types, they need to often go into their solitude. They need to go into their hideaway space, their safe space, where they can just let go of a lot of that emotional baggage that they sort of absorb throughout the day or throughout the week. Now, another thing is that from that more collective absorption of energy, then this can also impact them in terms of, well, they can be these chameleons, right? They can shift and mold and go with, well, this person is feeling this way or wants this, okay, so I'll go. This person over here wants this, oh, okay, I'll go. And them doing that just unknowingly, it's no big deal, it's no big deal, no big deal. It still gathers up, and then they may just get to this point where they explode themselves, or where they sink into this state of, oh, I feel horrible, oh my gosh, I can't deal with this. They can really, Pisces types, whenever they dip in their moods, whenever their moods really impact them, it can lead to, again, just health implications. It can lead to them having anxiety. They can become quite just flustered and really scattered, and they're not sure what to do. And Pisces energy anyway can also be a little bit scattered, and they can often misplace things. I notice with a lot of Pisces that they can just leave certain things lying around and then they'll not know where they put it. It can just be quite directionless sometimes, which is why it's really important for them to learn how to switch off, to not associate with certain things. It's for them to be really aware and cautious of where they're focusing their energy, who they're giving their energy and their attention to, because they can have that tendency of just sort of going along with, well, what everybody else wants, and going with the crowd, and oh, right, okay, we're doing this now, okay, yeah. I gotta say just from my own experience here that yes, I dated so I had a Pisces boyfriend for about 4 years, and one of the annoyances that I found with him was how he would be just so easily accepting towards just random girls who would add him on Facebook after going out on a night out, or he would just accept just random girls just speaking to him on different social media sites. And then when I asked of who's that girl, he would just say, oh, it's just a friend, it's just a friend, it's just a friend. I'm like, what do you mean it's just a friend? When did you meet that person? Last night. What? So that's just a short example of what I mean. So the thing about this is that yes, Pisces can not really, they often don't know where to draw the line, or they often may not be aware of when their own boundaries are being overstepped, or the boundaries for a partner as well. In that regard, they can just sort of have this go with the flow attitude of like, okay, yeah, I'll get to that, it'll happen, yeah, tomorrow, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. You find that when you go to Pisces and you say, hey, so Pisces, yeah, a year ago you were saying that you were going to do this, and then they're like, yeah, no, I just decided, you know what, I was going to do something else, and they sort of go with it, and you sort of have to just ride along with their waves. And I have to say, I I don't mind it. It's just that whenever I get brought into it and then I'm impacted, then that's just something that annoys me a little bit, I think, with Pisces energy. However, I also think that there's a lot of strength in this quality, because going back to this letting go, well, Pisces energy also shows us this importance of letting go, of, well, trying not to cling to certain expectations or cling to just whatever path you're on, but to also be okay with the possibility. So with other possibilities coming along, or being okay with something happening and it falling through, and you being able to then adapt to that situation. So I think that can of course be really helpful too with the Pisces energy. Though going back to the whole boundaries for Pisces, okay, you can find with Pisces types that they might get into some rather toxic relationships where they may just sort of accept certain things that a partner does that to another person may be seen as really quite abusive. They may just go along with it. They may know that it's not right, but they just have this tendency of just going along with those currents, but then not wanting to pull the plug. So to pull the plug for the Pisces can take quite a while for them to do it. But then also, whenever they do eventually pull the plug, it's more that they then divert their energy into something else before they pull the plug. So if we're to take this as a relationship scenario, rather than going to the person and saying, hey, let's stop this, it's more, oh, I find somebody else over here. Oh, good, right, I find someone here. So rather than pulling the plug and then finding someone after, they find someone first. They sort of have that person, and then the plug is pulled. So they can sort of go from one situation or experience to another without actually making those cuts, or without making a proper like closure, or without just without finalizing things, I suppose. With someone or with people, it can be the same with jobs, you know, with jobs as well. It can just kind of flimsy, just go with it, oh, this job, that job, right, okay, yeah, just live my life. I'm just Pisces and I'm about infinity, so there's all these different things to do and there's a lot of opportunities everywhere, and yeah, that can get them into trouble sometimes with people by doing that. And of course, this is where the substances and drugs can come in, because you can also find that whenever Pisces types are going through something, they may turn to drugs and substances as a way to escape that situation. Now, this could also be through the likes of eating, where they can binge, or they can develop a certain eating disorder, because that eating is also a form of escape for them. But even on that note, I find as well Pisces types that they can be really, really sensitive towards drugs, but yet they still will consume them. If they're in that kind of state, then yeah, given the situation, given what's going on in their lives, yeah, they may be really sensitive towards weed, for example, and they may know that, oh, weed makes me this or weed makes me that, but yet they'll still take the weed, even though they know that it impacts them in that way. Now, to sort of end this, I suppose, on a more positive note with Pisces energy, this sense of retreating and escape can also be used as a strength as well, because let's say, for example, that the Pisces decides to escape by going on a trip somewhere. So maybe going on a nice holiday or going to a certain spa, you know, going to the spa just to relax and unwind and just to forget about their woes, forget about their worries. Also, there can be a power found in them painting, in writing music, in doing photography, film, things like that. That can be also used as an escape for the Pisces. Just things that are different, things that are exciting and new to the Pisces can help them emotionally, I think. Another thing though to mention is, of course, their deep talks that they have as well. So you find with Pisces types that they can get you to look at things much differently than you did before. They can get you in tune with different parts of yourself that maybe you didn't think of before as well. So whilst they can be chameleons and they can sort of shift and mold into different versions of themselves, they can also encourage that from other people. They can question other people, their beliefs, and question their morals and ethics, and maybe get them to think a little deeper about it, especially when it comes to a more humane, sort of loving, compassionate outlook towards other people. So rather than just having this militant, just one way, this is the way, yep, that's how we do it, the Pisces will come along and say, oh, but no, but everybody's like that, everybody has that, and oh yes, but don't you see that we all can do these things, so try not to limit yourself so much and try to come out of that and see that there's other things to see and believe in, and there's more possibilities around you, and that can be really uplifting for other people. And so Pisces can be quite open-minded in that way, especially if that Pisces really does have the best intentions towards a person and they're maybe trying to like help them through something. You know, this could be a friend that comes to the Pisces and is expressing this relationship that they went through that was just so difficult to cope with, but the Pisces comes along and just brings up new ways of looking at that relationship, so that that person can move forward just feeling renewed, feeling like they're more empowered, and like they can change how they think or what they feel towards it. So yeah, Pisces. So I think that's me. I've been talking for a very long time. I'm not sure if you watched all this video, but if you did, good job. Good job. So then I suppose that just leaves the earth signs. Not sure when that will be up, but thank you for watching the water signs. And if you do have anything you want to share in the comment section, then feel free to do so. Thank you for watching. Bye!